But actually, I have added a sub-theme, elimination of poverty as a moral imperative. Whether it is so in this talk and in this presentation, my main focus is to examine using two Buddhist philosophers or two Buddhist masters, whether Buddhism can provide ideas, form a kind of duty. It means to make removing poverty from the world a moral duty of the person. So I have tried to show that Buddhist teachings, especially the teachings of great commentator Dhammapala and from Pali tradition, and Santideva, who lived in Nalanda in the 8th century AD in India, who is famous Mahayana Madhyamika Buddhist monk and philosopher who composed two treatises on the path to enlightenment, Bodhicharya Avatar and Siksa Samuchaya. These two masters' teachings mainly support to derive an idea of moral duty to work for removing poverty from the world. It means that then it becomes a duty of the Buddhists, whether it is Mahayana or Theravada or Vajrayana, that is a moral duty of the Buddhists to work to remove poverty from the world, because the position of Buddhism, like Buddhism denies poverty. Buddhism does not consider poverty as a blessing and poverty as a supportive factor to go to heaven or to attain liberation. That is established idea. That it is clear. It is supported by the text. I will show that from the suttas also. But my main focus is that to show that these teachers, the Buddhist teachers, these two teachers, especially, I have extensively quoted from Dhammapala, from his work, Charya Pitaka Attakatha, the Pali text, which we believe was composed in 8th century, in the 8th century AD. It is actually similar period. These two masters, Santideva and Dhammapala, they had lived in India. Dhammapala, we believe that he lived in southern India, and then Santideva, he's towards north or in the middle. In Nalanda is, I don't know whether it is nowadays Madhya Pradesh or I think Bihar state. So this, I think they might have some contact, this Theravada. Both were in India. Whether Dhammapala really came to Sri Lanka or not, it is not clear. And actually, I have not researched about that, whether he came to Sri Lanka or not. Those things, it is not my main focus, and I'm not working on that area too. But I'm working on the ideas that, especially the altruistic concern, how has been developed in Buddhist tradition. So we can see that from the teachings of these two masters, it seems that Buddhists are assigned with the duty of working to remove poverty from the world. So it is, let's see that the reason to think about this idea was that actually was current situation. Of course, here audience is well aware than me. The current situation in the world so difficult for everyone. And even the world level or global level programs have not been successful actually in the in the attempt of removing poverty from the world. For example, that the United Nations had one program that to remove poverty, and they aimed complete to reduce poverty from the world by 2015, but that project failed. And then again, they reset another program, that is Millennium Sustainable Development Goal under the United Nations Development Program to achieve 17 goals by 2030. So all these show that removing poverty from the world is a challenging work, and world has failed still, even though a lot of developments are going on. Even unthinkable achievements are enjoyed by humanity or human civilization, but poverty is still bothering the human civilization. So we know that Buddhism, of course, a problem-oriented religion. Dukkha, you know the word, is to be eliminated. And then in this dukkha is a vast word, both psycho and physical pains have to be at the climax is the existential suffering, but behind secondary sufferings like poverty or famine, etc., have to be eliminated from the human world, or we have to work. We have to assure a good life for everyone who are living on the earth. So it is clear from the Buddhist teachings. So Buddha's word, once the Buddha himself said that what he tried to do was to teach about suffering and ending of it. So then if we extend the meaning of ending suffering, so poverty is great suffering for anyone in the world. So poverty also, I think we can include in the spectrum of suffering. So the elimination of working to eliminate suffering is also a must for a person.
Excuse me, I'm being told that some people can't see the presentation.
So what can I do, ma'am?
I am also not very competent with that. I can see the slides.
Okay. So then I have no any technical knowledge about that.
And it's being recorded. So we'll be
because if you can see, it means yes. But let me continue. Maybe they can listen.
Yeah, we'll go on.
Otherwise, I can't settle this problem,
Yes,
madam.
go on. You go on.
So poverty, especially we are living in the developing world, Sri Lanka, in the South Asia. These countries, after COVID-19, experiencing much suffering due to poverty. Kabelang lipat, So living like South Asia, Africa, and Latin America, uh, despite the effort, the gap between the rich and the poor has increased badly in the world. Studies indicate all these solutions. It means the solutions taken by international organizations like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, etc., have not worked well in the developing world, and the gap between the developed world and the developing world is ever increasing. The number of poor people has increased across all regions, and particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. So this is the, I think I should not go for this information too much because of maybe the time factor also. Madam, how long I can speak? 45 minutes, 1 hour?
Even maximum 1 hour, 50 to 55 minutes is ideal.
Okay, okay. So then I can talk 1 hour. Okay, let's see. Then you know that United Nations idea, we are meeting at a time of immense challenges to sustainable development. Billions of our citizens continue to live in poverty and are denied of life of dignity. There are rising inequalities within and among countries. There are enormous disparities of opportunity, wealth, and power. So, of course, these secular organizations, it was considered when we study the history of elimination of poverty and how the world governments and other this kind of organizations work. So then at the earlier stage, the religion overall as a whole was not given any place in this process. But now it is accepted that religion also can do some work. Religion also can contribute to eliminate poverty from the world, at least to maybe to reduce, etc. At least to reduce poverty, and also because they can encourage people, and they can implement some community level programs. So there are many ways religious leaders, because religion cannot be separated from the life of the people. So the religious communities, religious leaders, faith-based organizations, they can contribute to the cause of eliminating poverty. And actually, I am trying to locate in this broader context. It means in religion, within the broader context of religion, how Buddhism can contribute to eliminate poverty from the world. In that case, mainly I have taken sources from the text that it's to show that the text considers that working to eliminate poverty is a duty of a person who seeks enlightenment. Theoretically, if we are a Buddhist, we are seeking enlightenment. Our goal is to attain Nibbana. So we have initiated a path to perfect morality, to perfect our discipline, both we can say tridimensional morality and mental cultivation and our insight. So anyone who has dedicated to this development, moral development, then he or must incorporate the duty or the work of working for the poor as one part, one component of the moral development. So this is so we are not telling that just based how to say that mere thinking. The textual tradition has developed this idea, even though it is not highlighted. That is the thing. Actually, the modern scholarship, and we have seen that, of course, the philanthropy is appreciated, and Buddhist position that poverty is not a blessing. That is the Buddhist position, so it is appreciated. But whether it is a moral duty, I think has not discussed in detail. And we have not sufficiently built organizations aiming at reducing poverty in our communities. So this is, I think, a kind of area we can focus. Of course, there are very few examples in the world to be that I have learned and I have known who have dedicated to this cause. It means to reduce poverty in some communities. So this is therefore I think that addressing this topic, the theme, whether it is our duty to work to remove poverty from the world, is a worthy topic to address. Maybe several arguments or counter arguments can come. How to say that poverty is common, etc. But we know that karma has to be changed, even though it is accepted as part of karma. Karma can be changed, and karma has to be changed if it is not good. So in that case, we can deny that argument. And the Bodhisattva teachings, especially, has focused. We know that I will tell you a little later. In the Charya Pitaka, as well as in the Santideva's text, the main topic is attain Samma Sambuddhahood, fully enlightenment, Bodhisattva. Not the Arahant, not the Pacheka Buddha. The character is the practitioner is the Bodhisattva mainly. So then, if it is Bodhisattva, one who works or strives to attain fully enlightenment, so then it is his or her duty to work to eliminate poverty. So this I think sheds and this asks us to think much and get into some activism in this direction. For several decades, the theorists and practitioners considered economic development as purely secular task, and religion has no place in it. Recently, scholarship in development has recognized that religion is embedded with great potential in development. Faith-based organizations in Asia and Africa operate in programs aimed at reducing poverty within their communities. It is worthwhile to examine further the potential of religion in the context of human development and poverty elimination. This Haynes, he has written a work, Religion and Development. In this work, he starts like this. So he shows that religion can contribute clearly to elimination of poverty. The Buddha appeared in the 6th. We know that part. So we know that Buddha was born as a prince. So he led a very luxurious life. This led him to pursue wealthy life as a blessing and poor life as suffering. In finding solutions to these extremes in society where he lived, he came up with both moral reasoning and socio-economic reasons. So finally, he laid a path of moral development to transform society. So Buddha's solution was this. His teachings related to both aspects are recorded in the canon, Pali canon. So Buddha saw that, he experienced this. He was sensitive to the society. We know that sufferings of society. Uh, uh, he did not neglect sufferings of society. He was active in removal of social injustice. Like we know that he was highly outspoken about caste discrimination. He argued intellectually, he tried, and practically he challenged the system and set some examples, giving praurja to Sunita, etc., and opening for anyone to become monks and nuns. So caste system uh, and introducing the Dhamma doctrine as the way to measure uh, worthiness of a person, not the birth in a particular uh, family or a caste. So he was actively trying to change the society. So similarly, we know that regarding poverty, also we know that we can find how in the Chakravarti Sihana, the Sutta, Buddha see that poverty is a problematic phenomenon and how it can destroys whole body of society. So Buddha did, and starting from the Buddha's project or Buddha's emphasis on removing poverty from society, his disciples, like as I mentioned, Dhammapala, the commentator of Charyapitaka Atthakatha, and Santideva, they developed these ideas, actually, ideas related to poverty and to emphasis on removal of poverty in their works. The Charyapitaka Atthakatha has developed the doctrine of 10 perfections. We know that Dasaparami. I think in previous talks also, I emphasized some other aspect of the 10 perfections, but here is focusing narrowly on poverty elimination. And Santideva, the Sanskrit Buddhist poet and philosopher monk, developed the theory of moral development. Investigating ideas included in these texts will shed much light on the Buddhist perception in relation, elimination of poverty as a moral duty. Modern scholars' views, we can remove that part. Global situation, you are familiar. So let's see that. In the first time, Buddhism recognizes that poverty is suffering. Dalidyam bhikkhave dukkhang lokasmi. So that is very clear. Dalidyam bhikkhave dukkhang lokasmi, in the world. Poverty, Dalidyam, bhikkhave monks, is dukkha, suffering. In the inner sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha points out, enumerates the number of problems related to poverty. Two more important suttas for study are Chakravarti Siyanada Sutta and Buddha-Dhamma Sutta. Poverty is perceived as an effect of neglecting necessary welfare activities for society. So, according to the Sutta, the seventh generation of according to the Chakravarti Siyanada Sutta, poverty is result of neglecting necessary welfare activities for a society. Due to the neglection of providing necessary welfare services, society falls into poverty, and then poverty causes a lot of evils. So And having listened to them, the king established guard and protection, but he did not give property to the needy. And as a result, poverty became rife. With the spread of poverty, this is the important point. With the spread of poverty, a man took what was not given, thus committing what was called theft. Thus, from not giving of property to the needy, poverty became rife. From the growth of poverty, the taking of what was not given increased. So, from poverty, theft. From the increase of theft, the taking of life increased, killing, uh, or and from the increase in the taking of life, people's life span decreased. Their beauty decreased, and as a result of this decrease of lifespan and beauty, the children of those whose lifespan had been 80,000 years lived for only 40,000. So lifespan also start to reduce. And finally, among them, fierce enmity will prevail one for another. Fierce hatred, fierce anger, and thoughts of killing, mother against child and child against mother, father against child and child against father, brother against brother, and brother against sister, just as the hunter feels hatred for the beast he stalks. So whole system, the society, is upside down, and everyone's life become insecure. So this is the problem of increasing poverty or not taking necessary steps to curb poverty at the first step. So this reflects, or this represents the Buddhist view about uh, how poverty can be dangerous, and how poverty can destroy a society. In the Kuttadanta Sutta, actually, it is very interesting. In this sutta, also the poverty, if someone wants to eliminate poverty, so then necessary steps should be taken. That is the only way to curb violence in a society, not to overcome violence by violence, but developing the economy is seen as a way to overcome violence in society. We can get some more Buddhist insights as to the issue of poverty from the Kuttadanta Sutta. The sutta comes up with poverty alleviation method. As the sutta reveals, the legendary king Mahavijitani was ready to prepare to perform a sacrifice. He inquired the opinion of his counsel Brahmin, the Bodhisattva. The latter pointed out to the former that it was not the time to perform a sacrifice, for the country is plagued with poverty, theft, and rebellion. Insightfully, the counselor points out that if the king thinks to wipe out theft and rebel by military means, it is wrong. Descendants of those who would be killed will rise again in a later time against the king. It is futile to resort to violence as a solution. Remedy lies in coming up with a rational program which would serve every segment of society. For the farmers, seeds and other necessary things for farming should be provided. For the tradesmen or the entrepreneurs, the capital should be provided. And for the government servants, wages should be increased. When people are busy with their work, they do not think to rise against the government. Due to proper function of economic sector, the citizens would pay tax to the royal treasury, and then the king could perform the sacrifice at will. The people start to live in peace and content. So here we can see that poverty can cause a lot of can cause violence, and violence cannot be overcome by means of violence. In order to overcome social violence, economic solution should be produced by the responsible parties. Here it is shown that when poverty is prevalent, theft and civil struggles arise in societies. Such struggles may be temporarily wiped out by military means, but they are not durable solutions. Root causes must be identified and rooted out. So we can see that poverty is not something without reasons. It is with reasons. I'm not going to that part. So let's, in this section, we will see that. Alleviating poverty as a moral imperative. So even modern scholarship shows that people still do not consider removing poverty is one's duty. Despite the measures taken by the institutions like United Nations Development Program, World Bank, and IMF, poverty remains worldwide. One of the reasons to fail poverty alleviation, according to Thomas Pope, is that it is not perceived as a moral duty. As he says, extensive, severe poverty can continue because we do not find its eradication morally compelling. In order to provide an inspiration to work for the removal of poverty, the Western academia has proposed ethical cosmopolitanism. This is their solution. In enhancing the sense of moral duty to work for eliminating poverty from the world, Buddhist tradition is full of insights that can serve us. In this section, it is planned to examine teachings found mainly in Dhammapala's Chariyapitaka Atthakatha and Santideva's Bodhicharya Avatar. The Buddha ones, a text belonging to the Chariyapitaka Atthakatha is the commentary to Chariyapitaka, that is a canonical text belonging to Khuddaka Nikaya. Buddhavansa, Chariyapitaka, and Apadana, these three texts are very important, means they reflect the development of Bodhisattva ideal in the Pali tradition. These are the texts actually. Before that, there's no much discussion about Bodhisattva ideal or Paramita doctrine. These are the texts actually have discussed this. So in this, what is the significance of Buddhavansa, the canonical text, is that it narrates how the Gautama Buddha initiated his Bodhisattva Karya at the time of Dipankara Buddha as the Sumedha Tapasa. In that case, here the Sumedha ascetic, the future Buddha, gave up opportunity to attain Arahanthood and ending suffering by listening to the Dipankara Buddha due to compassion for other beings. This is the very essence of the Bodhisattva Karya. For others, he sacrifices, or she sacrifices his enlightenment. Sumedha determines to become a fully enlightened Buddha so that it would be able to help many people as the Dipankara Buddha was doing. In the Chariyapitaka Atthakatha, in the Buddhavansa, marginally just mention about the 10 perfections, dana, sila, etc., but no detailed explanation. But when we go to the Chariyapitaka Atthakatha, we can find very critical analysis about 10 perfections. Dhammapala, the commentators, seems to be a contemporary of Santideva of Nalanda, produces a fully developed version of altruism based on the doctrine of 10 perfections, which is the practice of Bodhisattva. The teachings presented in the Chariyapitaka Atthakatha do motivate philanthropy. Through embracing other regardless into the practice of 10 perfections, elimination of suffering in the world is turned into a moral obligation for a person seeking liberation. Theoretically, all the Buddhists are working towards liberation. Consequently, it becomes a duty for them to alleviate suffering in the world. Poverty is a complicated aspect of suffering among various forms of suffering. Thus, It is part of moral perfection for Buddhists to work to eliminate suffering from the world. The Dhammapala's philanthropy and his moral imperative to remove poverty. Buddhist imperative to alleviate poverty can be ideally strengthened through the textual teachings. Both Theravada and Mahayana masters have developed strong emphasis on supporting the other. In the context of poverty alleviation, this other has to be confined to the needy or the poor. Of course, the text mainly emphasize supporting the other, removing the suffering of the other. So my method was that this other is reduced to the poor, whether it makes kind of logical error or kind of academic error, it has to be discussed. But I try to, I interpret the needy, the other in this context as the needy. Of course, we can find that there are a lot of references to the poor, how to treat them, and why we to give priority to them, etc. So then I think I will be justified. First, let us examine Pali commentator Dhammapala, how teachers to help the needy. As it is mentioned here, Charyapitaka Attakatha mentions, everything I acquire should be obtained only to give to others. And so then others, at the beginning he mentions about the others. Who are these others? When will beggars feel free to take my belongings on their own accord without asking? And how can I be dear and agreeable to beggars? And how can they be dear and agreeable to me? How can I give and after giving be elated, exultant, filled with rapture and joy? And how can beggars be so on my account? So I connect. So I think others here we can connect as we can interpret as the poor people, the beggars. How can my inclination to giving be lofty? How can I give to beggars even without being asked? Knowing their heart's desire, and since there are goods and beggars have come, not to give them something would be a great deception on my part. This is a remarkable reference to show the connection between other and the needy in the connection of providing support for living. Moreover, the author uses the commanding verb should. We must give in the first sentence. Buddhist philanthropy is connected with moral development. Here, moral development is directed at helping the needy in the world. This statement offers a number of insights on helping the helpless. A person must cultivate accessibility for the poor. There is a vast gulf between the haves and the have-nots in the world. The poor even cannot reach out for the rich to find help. From the Buddhist point of view on philanthropy, it can be learned that the rich in the world has a role in reducing poverty in the society. I mean, the rich persons should be accessible. They should provide access for the poor to reach them. So then it means, in one sense, it is part of the duty. It is a duty of the rich to help the needy from the Buddhist point of view. In the Buddhist tradition, giving is a highly valued practice. By practicing giving, both the donor and receiver get benefit. A receiver of gift may fulfill his or her need at the moment, whereas a donor enjoys both mundane and supramundane benefits. Giving is a way to overcome lobha, desire, one of the root causes of existence. Here, the author tries to bring about the revolutionary view as the perspective of earning money. Here earning money, for what purpose we are to do? So it is a kind of very different perspective is to be adopted by a bodhisattva when he earns money. Ordinary person earns money for him or her family. At length, maybe for his relatives. According to the Mahadukkhakhanda Sutta, one who earns wealth dislikes even the children who are not dear to him to possess his wealth. This shows how much a person desires for what he or she earns. But Dhammapal asks his audience, the Bodhisattvas, whatever is earned should be earned for the well-being of others. If we place earning at macro levels by multinational or national level companies, resources and labor are both at a very low cost. That is, if we try to look at how the earning happenings in the world, the developing world, Africa, Latin America, and some part of Asia experience this issue over centuries. African countries, though rich with gold, diamond, and other minerals, people living in those countries lead a very pathetic life. Further, reckless mechanisms used in the mineral industry have posed serious environmental problems. Overall, the conversion of growth into poverty reduction in Africa is much slower than in the rest of the developing world. People living in Africa's resource-rich countries are 3% less literate, have shorter life expectancy by 4.5 years, and have higher rates of malnutrition among women and children compared to other countries in the region. This slow pace of poverty reduction is frequently attributed to economic growth that is led by natural resources, so-called natural resource curse. So that the people who earn money, how they practice, how they treat the people who possess, originally who are the claimants of these sources, are well reflected in this description. So when we give, how we should give, it is well known fact that larger companies like to operate in countries where they pay low salaries for workers. This sort of practices have to be questioned. Practicing philanthropy is common among many secular and faith-based organizations and individuals. This advice to offer something with love and compassion according to Buddhist tradition. In Buddhist tradition, it has explained a donor may donate due to several causes like fear, anger, and strife, but here valued only giving through loving kindness and compassion. If a dear person asks for something, he should arouse joy by reflecting. One who is dear is asking me for something. If an indifferent person asks for something, he should arouse joy by reflecting. Surely, if I give him something, he will become my friend, since giving to those who ask wins their affection. And if a hostile person asks for something, he should be especially happy thinking, my foe is asking me for something, though he is hostile towards me, by means of this gift, he will surely become my dear friend. Thus, he should give to neutral and hostile people in the same way he gives to dear people, having first aroused loving kindness and compassion. This is this is the way to practice philanthropy for giving. So, promoting welfare of the world is a must for a person who is determined to attain enlightenment. Elaborating the Suttanta teaching, Parang Rakhanto Attanang Rakati, one who protects others, so does himself too. Dhammapala comments on the perfection of loving kindness, Metta Parami, emphasizing activism to bring about well-being for others. Charyapitaka Attakatha presents the noble qualities of loving kindness should be reflected upon as follows. One resolved only upon his own welfare cannot achieve success in this world or a happy rebirth in the life to come without some concern for the welfare of others. How then can one, wishing to establish all beings in the attainment of Nibbana, succeed without loving kindness? So, if we are to, if one resolved only upon his own welfare cannot achieve success in this world or a happy rebirth in the life to come without some concern for the welfare of others. So here that position is revealed, it means we must always keep care for others, concern for the welfare of others. Otherwise, no success in this life or no guarantee of happy rebirth in the next life. So if someone, it is for a normal person, but if someone who is determined to become a Buddha, leading other beings to Nibbana, then how about? He must work always with loving kindness. He must care for, or he must work for the development of welfare of others. And if you wish to ultimately lead all beings to the supramundane achievement of Nibbana, you should begin by wishing for their mundane success here and now. So this is very important, that it's not only that we try to restrict things in Buddhist tradition, sometimes to these worldly things, but here, first we have to focus the people who are suffering now, they have to be cured. We know that Buddha said a lot of several examples. Buddha attended Bhutigatta Tissa, who was suffering from illness. He himself treated Bhutigatta Tissa and set the example of taking care of the sick. And Buddha gave food for the farmer who was hungry. So I think so. Then it is not for looking everything for the next time, but it seems that we have to make we have to pay attention the fellow human beings at the moment in front of us who are suffering. And I don't know, some error has happened, madam.
There is a little clash.
Yes. So here success, mundane success. We must. It means this is very. I think these ideas from the. Oh, sorry. These are ideas we must. Of course, Buddhist organizations as well as Buddhist people at different levels, they are working to help the people. Maybe because we were influenced, we were guided by the teachings of the Buddhist tradition for several centuries. So I cannot provide for the welfare and happiness of others merely by wishing for it. So wishful thinking is not appreciated. Let me put forth effort to accomplish it. So we have to act like Buddha was defined karuna. The true karuna is not just wishing may other beings be happy and free from suffering, but to take actions. To take actions. Karuna is to take actions to remove suffering. So here it is required us to practically involve or to take actions to improve the life conditions of the people. In the world we are living, more than 1 billion fellow beings suffer due to lack of food and other necessities. In the light of Buddhist teaching, in such a condition, one cannot imagine enjoying one's luxury. However, reality is quite contrary. As it was mentioned at the beginning, the United Nations Development Program failed to achieve its goal of reducing global poverty by 2050. It required to set new goal to achieve 2030. It shows that the world is still not fully committed to reduce poverty in the world. According to the Buddhist tradition, to assure the proper function of a society, providing people with necessary welfare is a must. For instance, the Chakravarti Siyanadi Sutta traces the collapse of society to the negligence of an aspect of welfare by the government. In order to promote overall well-being of society, welfare services also play a critical role. In contrast to the position in the Chakravarti Siyanadi Sutta that provision of welfare is a duty of the government, for Dhammapala, even the individuals are responsible for providing welfare of fellow beings. So we are individually, not always give the burden to the ruler or the government, but we are within our capacity. We are to help. In an attempt to overcome a global issue, contribution of each global citizen would matter. Religions can play several roles in the task of removing poverty. One is actively engaging in organizational and entrepreneurial efforts, and other is motivating individuals and society to work to reduce poverty. By familiarizing the religious teachings, religious leaders can motivate followers to take seriously the issue of poverty and lead to think creatively how to eliminate poverty and make fellow beings free from suffering. Dhammapala's method is to treat others' well-being and one's own as equal would be an effective way of providing motivation. So Dhammapala's role, I think, is provide motivation. He provides motivation for us, teachings to work, to remove poverty, or to improve welfare of the others. That is one aspect we can support. We can see in the next section, Dhammapala connects the practice of loving kindness with compassion, karuna. As Dhammapala reasons, loving kindness causes to arouse compassion, which in turn brings about active involvement in removing suffering and promoting happiness of sentient beings. Thus, compassion becomes the foundation for maturing the path of Buddhahood, as it is put in the text. Thus, one should arouse an especially strong inclination towards promoting the welfare of all beings. And why should loving kindness be developed towards all beings? Because it is the foundation for compassion. For when one delights in providing for the welfare and happiness of other beings with an unbounded heart, the desire to remove their affliction and suffering becomes powerful and firmly rooted. And compassion is the first of all the qualities issuing in Buddhahood. Their footing, foundation, root, head, and chief. A bodhisattva must take responsibility personally to work for the goodness of others. As many of us are used to think, either governments or other agencies are responsible for everything in our life today, especially when we come to global issues. Individual role is neglected. A bodhisattva is a different person. He or she individually takes upon himself duty of working towards others' happiness and well-being. He should suffuse all beings with universal loving kindness and compassion. Whatever causes suffering for all beings, all that he should be ready to take upon himself. So personally, we are also responsible to remove suffering of the sentient beings. Prioritizing removal of suffering from the world is the main characteristic embedded in the Bodhisattva path. How beings given to practice the Bodhisattva path had sacrificed themselves to remove or avoid suffering at individual level and collective level has been extensively discussed throughout the Buddhist literature. For example, Jataka literature. In the Jataka literature, we can see how a Bodhisattva sacrifices himself to remove suffering of other beings. Like Vyagri Jataka. Vyagri Jataka comes in the Jataka Mala. It is a Sanskrit Buddhist text, but the story is famous that Bodhisattva sacrifices his life for tigress, seeing that tigress was to eat her own cubs. due to extreme hunger after giving birth to cubs. In order to avoid that evil, the Bodhisattva jumps from the rock or to the at the feet to the feet of tigers. Sasajata, we know that the story, and the Mahasilava Jataka in the Buddhist Sanskrit and Pali Jataka literature. The concern of Bodhisattva is not limited to spiritual guidance and upliftment, but he or she is sensitive to suffering that may come in various forms. Here we can see a great demand in Buddhist ethics from the moral agents by asking them to sacrifice even both body and life, remove suffering in the world. So even it is very going to the kind of demanding, too demanding. Further, having relinquished his own body and life for the use and protection of beings, the Bodhisattva should seek out and apply the antidotes to the various kinds of suffering to which beings are exposed: hunger, thirst, cold, heat, wind, sun, etc. So we can see that in Pali tradition, in the Bodhisattva doctrine, sacrificing and working for all kind of issues, suffering, causes of suffering have been perceived, and it has been considered as a duty of a bodhisattva, a person who is determined to become a Buddha in the future, to remove these problems of people: hunger, thirst, cold, heat, wind, sun, etc. Many issues. Social inequality is the main cause of power, according to the evolutionary theory presented in the Aganya Sutta of the Digha Nikaya. Social conditions and structures are man-made. So in the society, this inequality also, we know that another issue related to poverty. Maintaining poverty in society, human society cannot deny its responsibility. Self-centered love leads to neglect others and insensitive to their suffering. Therefore, many religions teach to give up self-love and instead embrace universal love. Hinduism, Vasudhaiva Kutumbaka, whole world is one family. Jesus, I love with you and among you in presence of the poor and the outside. Serve them and you are serving me. Befriend them and you will be friends of God. Shut them out, harass them, deny them what they need to sustain their lives, and you deny God. So we can see the religions raise a similar voice to treat others as the highest. In straightforward language, Dhammapala explains that moral perfection lies in eliminating self-love and cultivating love for others. In brief, the destruction of self-love and the development of love for others are the means for the accomplishing of the paramis. So the paramis or perfections are accomplished by developing the love for others, so developing universal love. Dhammapala forges the path of enlightenment to the level that the Bodhisattva becomes an ideal social worker. Every aspect of his or her conduct turns out to be beneficial to fellow beings. Values such as generosity and equality are expressed in the behavior. For the great compassion and great wisdom of the great beings are adorned by giving. When the Bodhisattvas are practicing the requisites of enlightenment, they treat all beings without exception as equal to themselves and perfect their sense of equality by maintaining the same under all circumstances, pleasant or painful. Thus, we can observe that Buddhist teachings in Pali tradition provide a lot of motivation for the enhancement of concern for fellow beings suffering, especially poverty, hunger, illness, etc. These worldly issues, and to remove inequality. So that is the teachings of Dhammapala. to remove suffering of others, which we reduce to the needy in this context, in many ways, to develop these qualities and then reduce poverty. So these ideas, we can see that applicable to our life and also have to be adopted, and it requires to think deeply when we, especially in the current situation. We know that except Thailand, there are the Buddhist countries in big trouble. Okay, that is another issue. So then, utility of Santideva's teachings. So Santideva's ethical altruism is inspiring the individuals to serve for others. Actually, Santideva's teachings are very useful in developing our care, love, and dedication for other beings. He develops his texts to attain fully enlightenment, Samma Sambuddha, and this is fully developed Bodhisattva doctrine in the Mahayana tradition. We know that Bodhisattva ideal was lifted by the Mahayana tradition to a greater extent, even to the level that a Bodhisattva gives up enlightenment with the compassion for the beings who are suffering in the samsaric life. So here in the Bodhicharya Avatar, he articulates the moral path through the six perfections. In Pali tradition 10, in Mahayana tradition 6. So in developing these perfections teachings, he always referred to helping others as the priority, liberating others as the priority. Santideva's ethical altruism is inspiring individuals to serve for others. Using the poetic language, he forms compelling ideas. Mahayana Buddhism is known for its emphasis on social emphasis. Compassion, karuna became most important value for Mahayana followers. Santideva, in the initial chapters of Bodhicharya Avatar, puts forth some altruistic views which have direct relevance to alleviation of poverty. Let us examine below. For all those ailing in the world, until their every sickness has been healed, may I myself become for them the doctor, nurse, the medicine itself. Raining down a flood of food and drink, may I dispel the ills of thirst and famine. And in the ends marked by scarcity and want, may I myself appear as drink and sustenance. For sentient beings poor and destitute, may I become a treasure, ever plentiful, and lie before them closely in their reach, a varied source of all that they might need. You can really see how Santideva starts and emphasizes alleviation of poverty and supporting the poor, how he emphasized as part of this moral development. From the last stanza, it is clear a bodhisattva must pay attention to the poor in the world. Poverty is a form of suffering that deprives a person from many fundamental needs of the life. On the other hand, poverty requires sufficient wealth and other necessities to get out of it. The compassionate beings always have walked with the poor and attend their need. In the world, the poor is disdained by the rich. It is an eternal practice. Buddhist Thera says people scorn the poor who have no wealth. Despite the fact that poverty is a social construct or a result of previous karma, those who are poor need others' help to get released from suffering of poverty. Equality in all and eliminating suffering. One of the arguments advanced by Santideva in the Bodhicharya Avatar is that there is no suffering that can be called as belonging either to oneself or to the other. What exists in the world is only suffering. Pain has no discrimination. Suffering has no possession. Therefore, no distinctions can be made in it. Since pain is pain, it is to be dispelled. What use is there in drawing boundaries? So, rich people cannot disdain or look down the poor. If there is poverty, it is duty of the rich to remove poverty. In the chapter on Dhyana Parami, meditation perfection, Santideva has advanced his altruistic thought. As Santideva points out, pain is simply pain, whether it is mine or yours. There's no difference between mine and yours. I like happiness, so do others. Therefore, I make others happy. And therefore, I'll dispel the pain of others, for it is simply pain, just like my own. And others I will aid and benefit, for they are living beings, like my body. Since I and other beings both in wanting happiness are equal and alike, what difference is there to distinguish us? That I should strive to have my bliss alone. Here, Santideva reminds the early Buddhist teaching that treating oneself and others equally, as am I, so are they. Oneself, neither kill nor incite to kill. Santideva's frequent reference to consent of devoting one's body and life for the service of others strengthens motivation and consequent activism. Here also Santideva shares the early Buddhist tradition, placing the well-being of other beings as prime importance in Buddhist tradition indicates his commitment to a better society free from poverty, discrimination, and inequality. The following stanza in the Bodhicharya Avatar is illustrative of Santideva's spirit of other regardless. Thus, sentient beings will be my chief concern, and everything I see my body has will all be seized and offered for the use and service of all other beings. So today, in the current world, being inspired by the Buddhist teachings, what current living Buddhist or the Buddhist world is doing to eliminate suffering in the world. So, especially we can see there are some, we know that organizationally Buddhists are working to reduce the suffering of the people, but this is not enough. It does not function at a global level. Buddhists are engaged in large-scale programs supported to reduce suffering, reduce human suffering. Buddhist activism does vary from typical religious services to political struggles throughout history. Buddhists have contributed to the progress of human civilization and removal of pain as much as they can, developing socio-economic conditions, education, providing health facilities and disaster relief programs, etc., carried out by Buddhist organizations. This is one organization, Santi Sena in Cambodia. After this, how to say that, Pol Pot regime, this has been established. Santi Sena is an organization established by Buddhist monks in 1994 to address poverty in Sui Rayan province in Cambodia. The leader was Venerable Nem Kim Teng, head of the Pre Chak Pagoda. By this time, Cambodia was passing a period of political transition and prevalent poverty. Monks wanted to address the pathetic condition and bring about a remedy for the poverty-stricken Ring province. The then situation of province is reported by research as follows. So, at what condition or situation this organization was active? It is reported by Jeffrey Haynes like this. It is a poverty-stricken and economically weak area, with most local people involved in rice farm, but only managing to collect an annual harvest. As a result, farms tend to be poor, with each hectare capable of producing an average of only about 8,800 kgs. Lacking access to much in the way of natural resources, most local people do not have alternative or additional sources of income augment their earnings. Consequently, many people travel to surrounding population centers where some find work as poorly paid wage laborers while others beg for food in neighboring Vietnam. So in this situation, Santisena starts supporting the poor. Using traditional knowledge and resources available within the area, Santisena implemented its program of alleviating poverty from the province. Their main focus was the weaker people. Santisena's philosophy has its origin in the Buddhist belief that development is invariably human development, whose target is necessarily and primarily poorer people. Here is obvious that Buddhism had focused on the poorer segment of society, putting the Buddhist compassion, wisdom, and generosity, and many other values into practice. Working at grassroots level is remarkable. Jeffrey Haynes, that is his observation. Suchi Compassionate Foundation in Taiwan, that is Mahayana Buddhist country. The Suchi Compassionate Foundation in Taiwan is well known. Its international disaster relief programs, including non-Buddhist countries such as Middle East, they operate in all the 5 continents when there are either natural disasters or man-made disasters. The organization delivers its relief services in 2 stages. Just after disasters, medical supplies and other humanitarian aids are supplied for victims, and in the second stage, they build houses, schools, hospitals, with many other sustainable facilities. Actually, they built 2 villages with all the facilities after tsunami in Sri Lanka, one in Hambantota and the other in Samanture for the Muslim community. In addition to disaster relief programs, Suchi Foundation delivers a well-advanced health service in Taiwan. There are 7 hospitals run covering the country, while medical universities and bone marrow research center are maintained. The main objective of these services is to provide poor and incapable people with necessary facilities. The motivation of the founder of the organization describes what are the values it is based on. When Chenyan Master, the founder of the Suchi organization, was young, had experienced a young mother to die due to poor health facilities in her area. With a female group of followers, Master had worked for several years to establish the hospital with facilities in the region. My suggestion, duty of Buddhists. The Buddhists are working in various fields to support the people in difficulty. However, there is a scarcity of organizations solely dedicated to address the problem of poverty. The services they are rendering at the moment to the world has to be extended to cover the people living under below poverty line all over the world. This is my suggestion. So these are conclusions. I think not necessary. May Triple Gem bless you. Thank you. My presentation comes to end here.
Thank you very much, Bhante. That was a very useful and important topic, not often meant, but in the economic crisis years, Bhante, in 21-22, our 1922, we put out an annual journal at Vesak. That particular year, journal was almost entirely on, we had articles on Buddha-Dhamma, then Chakravarti Sihana, Jigacha, Paramaroga, the birth diseases, hunger, different, articles. But then, of course, I think, Bhante, it was very useful and a lot of things that were mentioned. I think there's a lot to learn from and follow. We have several bhikkhus who have joined, ordained, and maybe bhikkhunis. I wouldn't know. So shall we just open, I'm sure, for comments from Venerable Olandeyananda Mahathero, Venerable Jnanasiha Thero. Would someone, would you unmute and make comments or any suggestions? I'm sure.
Excuse me.